Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Call this meeting of the West Dallas West Milwaukee School Board to order. At this time, Mr. Becker, would you lead us in the pledge?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you. And Sarah, would you call the roll, please?
All right, Ms. Carr,
Here.
Ms. Steele,
Here.
Mr. Tolani,
Here.
Mr. Lee,
Here.
Mr. Becker,
Here.
Ms. Lee. Here. Mr. Verbos is excused. Mr. Keller,
Here.
President Burns.
Present. All right, proper notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the open meeting laws of the state of Wisconsin. Dr. Robinson or board, are there any modifications to the agenda tonight?
We do have a modification. We are removing number 12 and 13 from the agenda.
Okay,
And 14, I'm sorry. 12, 13, and 14.
12, 13, and 14. Okay, thank you. All right. With that modification, are there any questions? All right. At this time, then, I would entertain an objection with the aforementioned changes.
Approve agenda with the changes.
Second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Any questions or adjustments? Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. So we'll move forward then to the superintendent's report, please. Dr. Robinson, take it away.
So good evening. This has been a busy couple of weeks as we prepare for the start of the new school year. Legislative updates tonight. Wisconsin has awarded a 5-year, $10.5 million federal grant to strengthen the state's special education workforce through recruitment, preparation, and retention efforts. The initiative states we will expand Earn While You Learn apprenticeship opportunities and provide mentoring, coaching, and professional learning and leadership support for special educators. The need is significant as only 43% of special education teachers remain in Wisconsin public schools through their 8th year, making these efforts critical to building a stronger and more sustainable workforce. Our district recognitions, I do want to recognize on last week we did welcome home our new teachers to the district. It was a great event where I had an opportunity to engage and talk with a lot of them. And it was just good to see our principals and other administrators supporting this particular effort. So I want to say again, welcome home to our new staff here in the district. The Coach Calvin Memorial Game. West Dallas Central community came together for a special memorial football game honoring the life and legacy of Coach Stevie Calvin. It was a meaningful evening filled with Bulldog pride as players, families, staff, alumni, and community members gathered to remember a coach who made a lasting impact on so many. It was a celebration of Coach Calvin's life, his love for his players, and the legacy he leaves with the Bulldog community. And I had the opportunity to personally attend the memorial service on that morning, Thursday morning. I did not have the opportunity to attend the game, but I hear I missed the game of the year already, so shame on me. But I want to congratulate Central for pulling out a come from behind win, and I heard it was a classic fashion. So congrats to that whole team and that community. Upcoming events, we do have our Back to School Bash on Wednesday from 5 to 7. We have our Student Jumpstart program, which will be for our intermediate students on the 31st. For grades 6 to 8 students again, and then our Battle of the Dogs will occur on September 11th. We're expecting a large crowd, and we're inviting the community and urging the community to be a part of that event. I want to go back to the Jumpstart real quick. So just a couple of data points that I wanted to bring out tonight. So far, with our 2 Jumpstart events at our high schools, Dockey has 89% of their technology given out. WAC is at 58%, and Hale is at 73%. As a district, we're at around 68% of technology issued out. We still have a week left. The goal is to be 100% on day one. So if we have any students who are sitting in the audience who have not, I'm talking to you. I'm starting with you, but we are urging you to tell your friends, go and pick up your technology. We're not waiting until 1 week after school starts. We want everybody starting on the right foot. So the next opportunity officially for high schoolers will be August 28th from 9 to 12. I believe these times also correspond with the freshman orientations at all of our high schools. I am going to turn it over now to Shelley, and she's going to call up our athletic directors who will introduce our 2026 fall sport captains. Shelley?
Good evening, board. Back to school also means back to athletics, and I'm hoping you could sense the energy and excitement with all the student athletes here tonight. So I'm very proud and excited to introduce and bring up our athletic directors, Trevor Leopold and Katie Rucka, who are going to announce this year's fall sport captains. And you'll notice up there we have a very exciting addition. Our girls flag football program for the 26-27 school year is now officially part of the athletics department and not just recognized as a club. So we'll start with Trevor and Hale Athletics.
How do you want this organized? You want them to come up or off to the side or wait till the end? We'll wait till the end. First off, we have our football captains. We have Kason Lee, Mason Moulton, Colton Cohen, and Dom Dorsey. We opened up last Friday against Kakana, who is the number 6th ranked team in Division II. It was actually a pretty close game. It was 14-0, I think, until like 3 minutes before halftime. Ended up losing the game. However, this week we have Riverside at South Stadium on Thursday. Looking forward to the game. Boys cross country, we have Joe Ventura, Caleb Jensen, and Coda Bruner. They open up their season at Palmyra on Thursday. For girls cross country, what? Oh, yeah, stand up. Sorry. You can stand up. Girls cross country, we have Nina Stoller and Piper Munier. They open up their season at Brookfield Central on Saturday. Girls volleyball, we open up on Thursday against Greenfield for our first conference game in the Woodland Conference. Pretty excited about that. We have Kayla Foster, Tori Lee, and Savannah Burge. There we go. Hey, now we're getting into it. All right. For cheer, who are the state champions, coming back, they are growing their program exponentially. They have a kiddie clinic tonight, but I believe they're going to make it here anyways. We have Lily Raggeth and Andrea Fitzgerald. For dance, this last weekend, they did really well at the Midwest. They were camp champs. We have Haley McCarran, Bella Schmitz, Kayla Foster again, double captain, look at that, and Izzy Pryle. And then for girls tennis, they just played New Berlin West. Did you win? No. All right, we'll try again on Wednesday against Milwaukee King. We have Bree Kendall and Celeste Lochner. All right, that's all of our captains. So if you guys want to come on up here so we can take a picture, that would be fantastic. I forgot to mention football players are wearing their brand new gray jerseys, which are pretty sweet.
All right, we got our front row spotting again. So let's get this picture ready. 1, 2, 3. Great, thank
We bring chicken here just.
It's my choice.
That's a huge piece of bread. Like it's so.
All right, Katie, you're up.
Okay. All right. West Dallas Central. We have, let's see, football. We'll start with our captains, Karan Alston, Andy Potter, Diaz DeBerry, and Cooper Fox. Just have to say too that these guys, obviously, with the passing of our head coach, have really been through a lot within the past couple of weeks. It was really great to see a win on Thursday, but the leadership that these guys have shown, just in like emotionally and part of the team, to kind of, show the underclassmen how it's done, just really admirable. So, yeah, it's captainship, but on a different level this year. So, good for them. Snaps. Yeah. Our cross country captains this year, Tony Martinez and Delilah Estrada. Girls volleyball captains this year, Maddie Falk, Lily Dorn, and Nachia Yang. Our first volleyball invite is Friday, so if you want to stop by, West Dallas Central starts at noon. Cheer and dance will attend this board meeting in the winter, but we also recognize boys volleyball. We have Riley Streisick, TJ Zapeta, and Reed Bird. Girls flag football. This is the second year. Last year, it kind of operated a little bit more like a club. This is the first year that it is part of the whole athletic department, like Shelly said. That also means we are playing in Muskego's Classic 8 League. So we'll play October through December. Waiting for our schedule, and we'll get that out to you guys. But our captains are Leah Norton, Jubilee Borges, Latrice Smith, and then we also have Alicia Ledesma and Kimora Luckett here. Swim and dive this year. They've started off their season kind of strange, bouncing back and forth from pool to pool while the pools get finished. Finally at Central, back at our home today, and our captain is Kaylee Cantor. Last but not least, coming off a season where boys soccer won their first playoff game in a significant amount of years last year. Looking forward to a really good season this year. Our captains are Eli Pavlik and Yadi Barbosa. All right, West Dallas Central. Hey, there's a lot of
Yes. I don't think no, she's all right, ready? 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
And before everybody leaves, I just want to also recognize a special recognition to the Nathan Hale football team, your players. Hey guys, I just want you to know, we got your back. All right, we're cheering for you, and we're there to support you. Okay, so I look forward to being there on Thursday night to support you guys again. Okay, so keep it up, keep it up. All right, that concludes my report for tonight.
All right, we'll give them a moment to clear. All right. Okay. All right. So then at this time, that'll move us to our public comments section of the night. So at this time, if anyone would like to address the board, you may sign up in the back of the room or in the Zoom link in the chat. Introduce yourself with your name and address. You have 3 minutes to provide comments. The board cannot discuss, debate, or act upon any of the items addressed during the public comments portion of the school board meeting. Follow-up may be provided by the superintendent at the next regularly scheduled board meeting. So at this time, I have no one signed up, so I will hold for a moment to see if anyone does. All right, seeing no one signing up and no one sprinting to the back here, I will close a public comments section at this time. And we'll move to item 8, our board reports, starting with 8.1, review of the board calendar. So let me get that up here. So tonight, August 24th, we have a regularly scheduled board meeting, which will include the Recreation and Community Services Workshop and the 2024 Referendum Updates Workshop number 5. September 14th would be our following meeting, and it does hit a little bit late because of Labor Day here. So that will be a public budget hearing at 6 p.m. and regular school board, sorry. And then September 28th, we will have a regularly scheduled board meeting as well. And that is our board calendar. So then moving on to our board committee reports, we have 3 of them, it looks like tonight. So 8.2.1, our college and career readiness. VP Deal, are you ready? All right, go ahead.
All right, so the College and Career Readiness Committee met on August 10th, so 2 weeks ago. We talked about the summer school recap. Families and staff who participated in summer school were provided with a survey about their experience. 73 families, 342 students, and 42 staff responded to the survey. Based on this feedback, staff are now in the process of developing a parent guide for summer school that will focus on communication, registration, facilities, and transportation information. We talked about proposed course catalog updates for the 27-28 school year. So staff are in the process of reviewing our course catalog to identify any changes that need to be made. These changes involve adding a prerequisite to a course, revising grade level requirements for a course. And removing courses that have very low interest rates or consist of material covered in other courses. The district will be adding a clinical observation course that will provide high school seniors who are interested in healthcare careers to have an authentic career-based learning experience. The district is also looking to add more dual credit opportunities and is working with MHEC and GTC to develop additional career pathways. And then for our final item, board member Deal shared information about a program called Operation Parent that offers parents and caregivers guidance, updated information, and conversation tips on important topics like mental health, substance use prevention, and technology use. District staff will review this resource and see if it is something that would benefit our students and families. And that's my report.
All right, thank you. Any questions for this committee? All right, seeing none, thank you. That'll move us on to 8.2.2, our employee engagement and culture and Financial Stability and Efficiency Joint Committee. Again, VP Deal.
And just so you know, this meeting took place on August 13th. So some of the information that I shared, it already happened. All right, so our current vacancy rate, again, this would be from 2 weeks ago. The current vacancy rate is 1.08%, with the currently 6 vacancies, which I'm sure has probably changed since then. We talked about turnover trend data. So the current turnover trend data is at 10.26%. The committee reviewed trend data by school for the past 3 years, including resignation data, and determined what additional data they would like to hone in on in the future. And then an update on the suggestion box response cards. The suggestion cards have been sent to the printer, and a link to the electronic version of the card has been added to the HR website page. All right, then for financial stability and efficiency, the pre-65 health insurance renewal. Initial negotiations for the health insurance renewal has begun. The district has budgeted a 15% increase in healthcare costs and has had a self-insured analysis completed. UHC has started negotiations with a 25% increase for their group commercial insurance. A board workshop about health insurance will take place at the end of September or beginning of October. For the financial stabilization plan, notification of the district's financial plan will be noticed or has been noticed now in the August 19th edition of our local newspaper as required by Wisconsin state statute. And then for the compensation model timeline, timeline of committee work has been developed. The committee is currently working on developing and defining the employee groups. The goal is to have board approval of these new compensation models by April 2027. And finally, the 25-26 audit dates. Baker and Tilly will be working on the 25-26 audit from September 14th to September 25th this year. And that's my report.
All right, thank you. Any questions on the joint committee report? No. Okay, that will move us to then 8.2.3. So recreation and community services. Board Member Lee.
Thank you, President Burns. Our committee met last Monday. It was a pretty quick and simple meeting. We discussed the clarification we received from DPI on residency as it pertains to the rec department's youth theater program and intermediate school programs. Any student that lives in West Allis or West Milwaukee is eligible for both of the programs, regardless of where they go to school, or if their school has a similar program. And that was it.
Short and sweet. Thank you. Any questions on that report? No. All right. Then we'll move on. Thank you. Board reports, board member reports of community events. Any events that people would like to go to or would like to go to or have gone to? There we go. Board member Carr.
Thank you. I did go to the RAD Passion Project Fair, and it was interesting. I saw Matt there because it was the day after we had met, and he promised me my yellow scarf. He remembered me. And there was one student, I would say, that knew so much about the Brewers. I just can't even imagine. And I mean the history of the Brewers. So it was delightful to just sit and chat with them and see their passion. I also, we attended the board retreat. And I wanted to just say that, you know, I've been to a lot of retreats. I've been to a lot of staff development in my day. And I thought that it was really well run. I enjoyed Dr. Can't remember her last name. Scott. All right. I enjoyed her. She was very efficient and knew exactly what the plan was. And she was so good at modeling how we could be in classrooms. And I thought it was really cool. I wish that a lot of teachers could have seen her because she really commanded the room in a friendly way. We talked about building trust as a team, and we talked about role clarity, and then we made a commitment, and I thought those 3 things were worth our time. And so I thought that the board retreat was valuable. And then new staff kickoff as well. And what I want to say about that was I'm always glad when there's a small group because it shows we have all the staff we need. We didn't need to hire rooms full of people. And as I was milling around and talking, I noticed that a lot of the people were interns. And I really wanted to say that I love that pipeline program that we're doing where we have interns come, we get to know them as staff members, we get to know what they're capable of, if they're the caliber of teacher we want in our district, and are they a good, are we a good fit for them? And then, by the time that they get to new teacher, they really they aren't. They're just a team member. And so I talked to a lot of the interns, and I was glad to see all of them. And that's what I want to say.
Well, thank you. All right. Good report. Anyone else? Things they've done or participated in? Mr. Becker?
Thank you, President Burns. Two repeats, actually. It was the same two events. I went to the RAD Passion Project Day, had a couple nice conversations with parents of participants, longtime participants. Got to hear some of the history of the program and looked through the scrapbook talking about the history of the program. The conversation, part of it revolved around, it's only been around since I think 1968. So between the participant and my own reflections on, I'm really grateful for the program because what did we do before then? I think having enriching, fulfilling activities are really valuable. I also went to the first day for the new employees, and I really appreciate the effort that went into the program and Ms. Barrage for the work in leading it for the portion I was there for anyway. I've been in organizations before where there's zero onboarding, and you spend months and months just trying to figure out what you're doing and what the organization is about. So I think it's really important to set the tone right away and set people up for success. So much appreciated.
Sorry. Thank you. Very nice. All right. Others? Yes, Mr. Lee.
Yeah, I was able to attend two football games last week. The Central game on Thursday and the Hale game on Friday. So as Dr. Robinson alluded to, it was the Central game on Thursday against St. Thomas More was a thrilling game. You know, it was there was a lot of emotion involved. There was a very big presentation before the game started for Coach Calvin. And then the team came out and took care of business. And what I liked is, you know, they were down 1 point. I think it was 21-6. And so they came back from that to eventually pull out the win. They really had a great second half game. So I think the Bulldogs have a good team this year and are a team to look out for in the Woodland Conference. And then also was able to attend the Hale game. With everything going on, I think it was really good to see the football players go out there and just be football players and run the plays and listen to their coaches and do what they needed to do to represent Hale well. You know, the outcome is what the outcome was, but it's not always about wins and losses when it comes to this sort of stuff. And I think that there's a lot of character shown in that game. So I do appreciate that.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else? Events that they participated in or like to share? No? Okay. Well, there's lots coming up, so lots to do. I'm gonna call out Mr. Verbos because even though he's not here, he did it to me last time, but he was also at the Huskies game, watching that out and supporting the team, as was I. And then two, I wanted to, as we move into the pieces from that, other information here, Wednesday morning, we have the welcome back for the teachers, and those blue shirts that we got at the retreat are for that. So if you're able to make it, it'd be lovely to see all of you. All right. So then I will move on from that to our consent agenda. We have 9.1, our approval of minutes, 9.2, our employment summary, 9.3, our supplementary contracts, 9.4, our financial report summary, and then 9.5, our update title and contact information for human resources and board policies, on-board policies and administrative guidelines. Does anyone need anything separated out? No? Okay, then at this time, I would
Move to approve 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, 9.4, and 9.5.
Second.
all right, I have a motion and a second. Are there any modifications? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that will pass. So then that will take us right into our action items of the night, starting with 10.1, our 2027-2028 course catalog updates. Ms. Barrage, are you ready to go?
Yes.
All right, go ahead and take it away then.
All right. Good evening. I'm joined this evening by Robert Joyce. And the intentionality behind that is we're bringing forward some course catalog updates that are born from our comprehensive local needs assessment that he and our team engaged in with our career and technical education teachers over the course of the past 6 months. And so we are going to provide just a brief overview of what those changes are. The rationale is provided within the what's been shared previously with the board. Our committee was in favor of all of these proposed changes. So again, I will kind of highlight the changes, and then if there's anything we want to dig into or ask questions about, there'll be an opportunity for that. And so some of the changes include for our art department, adding 2D as a prerequisite for 3D. That is based on feedback from teachers that students and them need those prerequisite skills to be really successful and have the full experience within the 3D course. We also want to expand and allow our 10th grade students to take AP Statistics. That's due to a change in the AP Statistics course through College Board this past year. And so that is a viable and accessible pathway for 10th grade students. We want to open that up for them. And then the next several proposed changes again are connected to our comprehensive local needs assessment with CTE department and our community partners. So that includes revising the grade level requirement for engineering, design, and manufacturing to include 9th grade students. This allows students to get into that pathway earlier and then access youth apprenticeship or other opportunities as they get into their upper years with us in the district. Then we are proposing a removal of print media and advanced print media along with the fashion courses. The rationale is really spelled out for both of those, but to summarize, those courses both have low interest enrollment and also difficulty staffing staff who have the skills to lead around those courses. And it's also in an effort to make sure that the pathways we're offering are aligned to high quality career options for students. And that's, again, based in feedback from our community partners across all of our CTE pathways. And then to close out, we are also recommending the removal of food science. That course has not run for over 3 years due to low or no student requests for that course. On the cinema and photography and advanced cinema and photography, we're just recommending moving that into the art department, which is a more appropriate location. It was placed into CTE based on licensure needs within the teaching of that course. And then finally, really excited to bring forward a clinical observations course to add to our course catalog for the upcoming course selection season. And so I actually am going to invite Robert to share a little bit about that course, if you feel comfortable.
Sure thing. What we'd like to be able to do is, again, helping students with the academic and career planning. If students say that they would like to do something related to a healthcare career, then we'd like to be able to get them more opportunities to get in and shadow those positions, to do some studies around that, to see what they need to do to prepare for college in those areas if they continue their studies, and what does employment look like. So that way, before they spend all this money and time in different universities trying to pursue different career pathways, we just want to make sure they feel very confident that that's what they want to do and that they fully understand the breadth of what that job takes. And so being able to lean into our local professionals to help provide guidance and some mentorship there would be very beneficial.
And so with that, we'll turn it back over to President Burns to see if there's any questions.
All right. Yeah. So questions. Mr. Lee.
Yeah, thank you. For the clinical observations course, are we partnering with any particular healthcare facility for that, or is it free for all?
Now, it would be planned, but right now what we have to do is develop what it is that we're selling to the different entities. We have spoken with Aurora, for instance, as they sit on our advisory council meetings, and they do have some programming where students can come in and do some mentorships. This would actually allow us to be able to do it during the school day, which would actually be more beneficial for both the students who are typically those students who look in those medical career fields are very active in other areas of the school too. And so it would free up time for them to be able to do that. But then it also works really well with those medical professionals' schedules too. But this is a first step for us having something that is solid to be able to propose and sell to our community.
Okay. Or is the plan to offer like certain specific kind of pathways, like nursing, like I could do everything, right? Ophthalmology and dentistry. Like there's lots of things that someone could technically go look at. So is the plan to limit it to a certain number of those things so that you can make those relationships?
Yeah, so what we would do is two parts. We'd like to be able to identify from students things that they're interested in and be able to present those to these entities to see if they have people who'd be interested in students visiting, but then also proposals from these other places that they can share with us, because oftentimes our students don't know what opportunities exist out there until they're shared with them. And so they can speak to what are some of the high need, high demand type professions. There's a number of traditional fields that students want to go into right now. As we work with our post-secondary institutions, there's a long waiting list, yet there's some very high need. There's a lot of high need career pathways in other directions that students just aren't aware of. So if we can just bring some exposure to that, we feel it would be beneficial for both our local hospitals and clinics and also our students.
Okay. You're gonna get that information from the students via survey or like counselor?
Yes. Typically it's done with the survey. So if students start with that program, we would send out a survey for what would they be interested in advance once we've identified the students that want to take that course. And then we would try and pair them up with areas of interest.
Got it. Thank you very much.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Talani?
I really appreciate offering AP statistics. I know that's not offered where I teach, but I just wanted to clarify where that falls into the sequence of math. So is it in place of Algebra 1 or after Algebra 1?
It would be after Algebra 1.
Okay.
So that would occur prior to taking AP statistics. But then if you transition into that, they could go into that, move into Algebra 2 or beyond into different pathways. So it's a really flexible course, but it does allow, we try to ensure that we're not tracking students in one pathway, but they have opportunities, as you know, to navigate different, because within math too, there's different types of content taught. So they could get a sense to, am I more interested in statistics or am I more interested in geometry, et cetera?
So, but this doesn't replace Algebra 2?
No.
Okay.
It does not.
Is it 3 credits of math for high school? Yes.
I would have to get back to you. I mean, yes, it would be a half credit per semester.
Yes.
I believe.
No, I'm saying like for a high school graduation requirement is 3 years of math.
Correct.
So would that be, do we do geometry in high school or middle school?
We do, but you can do a combination of Algebra 2 with geometry.
Okay.
And then pre-calculus, then AP calculus, A, B, B,
Okay.
C.
So AP statistics would just be one of the options for those
It's
3
an
credits.
elective course.
Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Other questions? Mr. Becker?
Curious about how we build a catalog. Basically, like for a student who's high achieving across the board, if they're in all honors courses and they get pulled into like an honors extracurricular, band or symphony, something like that. If the student has to choose between an honors course and honors band, band we can't build, orchestra we can't build out other sections. That's a little bit unique. But how do we go about building out the classes? Is the student, because the student's going to go to the counselor. What is the mechanism for our counselor to communicate and say, hey, we've got a handful of kids? Because, I mean, in my experience, you don't have one or two honors kids, it's a swarm of them. They go from one to the next. It's a group of high achieving kids. So just curious how we decide when it's time to build a new section and how do we communicate we need a new section?
That's hard to say without knowing the specifics of like the content area. But what I will say is, I mean, we've gotten creative with a few different ways to go about that. So when students get into 11th and 12th grade and 10th grade, they can do early college credit program. So there is pathways there in case we aren't able to offer a specific course that is more unique and gets them access to college credit. And then in terms of determining if we're adding a course, I think that comes through feedback from students around the need for that course. But and often our course proposals come through also teachers advocating for different courses that would benefit our students. So it comes through a variety of methods when we come forward to you all to ask to add a course to the course catalog.
Okay.
But I think also we have to do a better job of forecasting, to be honest with you, though, because I think in the situation you're bringing up is when we offer more AP and dual credit courses, then it does create sort of like this log jam, and then we have to create other options. And so the forecasting I'm speaking of is like a year out, looking at how many kids are, and predicting what those challenges could be with scheduling. I know I've spoken with Connie about this particular situation, and it's just we have to do a better job of forecasting. This is something that's going to be more of a problem as we increase these offerings, and so it's just something that we have to really work on and try to be creative with it.
Yeah, and I recall hearing, I think it was during the retreat, there was a conversation about some of those concurrent enrollment classes, and if we're going to run into that, then the preference is not to turn kids away, but to create more sections so that we can ensure they have that access. So that was part of why I asked it that way. Thank you.
All right. Other questions? All right. Seeing none, then at this time, I would entertain a motion.
Move to approve 10.1 course catalog updates.
Second.
All right. I have a motion and a second. Are there any modifications? No? All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. And that passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. And that will move us to 10.2, establishing the Madison School. And this will be led by Dr. Robinson and Mr. Norris.
So I'm going to start off, and then Aaron and I are going to kind of tag team as we go through this. Wanted to start out with a quick story. Takes place on June 19th, 2023. My first day moving into my house at the time in West Dallas. And my neighbor, she's Miss Judy, is asking me a lot of questions because she wants to know who I am, where I come from, and when did I get here. Okay. And so in that conversation, my responses to her are, I'm in education, just arrived from Texas, and I'm glad to be here. And her daughter pulls up, and her daughter looks at me and says, Mom, that's the new superintendent. He lives next door to you. And then she looks at me and she says, you closed Madison. I said, no, ma'am, I did not close Madison. All right. I say all that to say that community is very close, has a close-knit relationship with that school. And we really want to honor that close-knit relationship and the programs that we offer in our district and continue those programs through that particular school. I think it's important that I start there because we've started this process over the last 3 years of moving programs out of other places and putting them into what we thought was a better situation from a facility standpoint. We're at Madison with the CTS program, with our Shared Journeys program, with Deeper Learning as well, Deeper Learning Virtual Academy as well, and then our GED program. So now we have all of these programs, not including DLVA, but in this particular conversation, but we have these programs that are housed at Madison. And now what we're trying to do is to create a school number for Madison where the CTS program, Shared Journeys, and GD will be coded under, as well as the program being officially housed at that particular location. Okay. Did I do a good job of setting it up for you?
Yeah, you did.
And we'll go from there, and I'll chime in as we go through this. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Great. Well, I can't top the story, but I can give you information that kind of supports what Dr. Robinson said. So I wanted to first start out with kind of the programs that are there in the school. So kind of see the difference here. DLVA is a entity school with the Department of Public Instruction, meaning they get their own report card. They're legally their own entity as a charter school. Now, however, we also have, as Dr. Robinson shared, 3 specific programs that are housed at Madison. Physically, the students attend that location. And I put some information below this to kind of give the history, as Dr. Robinson shared. It's important to know for the community as well as the board that DLVA and Shared Journeys were actually at the Apostles Presbyterian Church over by City Hall prior to the 23-24 school year. That lease was paid for by Aurora Healthcare, and that was sunsetting at the end of that year. So it just lined up nicely to go, well, the funds we had to lease that location were no longer available. Madison School, the old Madison School building, elementary school, from a facilities perspective was very well kept. The analysis that was done leading up to the referendum at that time showed that Madison's replacement value was very, very high. So to keep Madison obviously was a decision the board made and made a lot of sense from facilities perspective. Going down, the CTS program was housed at Franklin Fieldhouse for a number of years, and the projection that we had from an enrollment perspective is showing that the number of students was going to increase ongoing here for the next 4 to 5 years, and that was done by Laura, Sage, and Ann Locke. And so the decision was made, one, to move the program to Madison School and then invest dollars into Madison to retrofit bathrooms and our changing space. Locker rooms were renovated to support that program. Being in that space for a number of years. So that was also moved to Madison, and that started at the beginning of this past school year. All those renovations took place last summer. And then lastly, the GD program, which was housed at Dotkey for a long period of time, was moved to the Madison School in 23-24. And again, I noted, similar to Dr. Robinson, that in the purpose of this conversation, we're not really discussing DLVA, even though it is physically housed at Madison. So the purpose of the proposal is one, to try to formalize the Madison School as its own entity. And it's really a couple of reasons. Number one is we're trying to reflect what actually is happening in our students' education with what's actually listed in our data system. So students today that attend CTS, GED, and Shared Journeys, to us, we know where these programs are housed. The families do, our teachers certainly do, but in Skyward, the reporting mechanism to the state, that's not reflected. The students are reflected in their home high school. Now, what we're looking at is trying to shift that to create the entity that reflects where these students physically do attend. Not to say that students are not allowed to be dual enrolled. That is certainly allowable. It happens across our 2 high schools now, with Dotkey students attending Central or Hale or vice versa, in its own entity. But essentially what we're looking to do is create its own entity. It would allow us to create the Madison entity, which would allow us to have a alternative report card for the school. And again, DLVA would remain unaffected by this due to its charter status. DPI allows school districts, the local LEA, meaning the school board, to create its own entity for a new school. It could be a brand new school. It can be an alternative school. And if it's an alternative school in nature, it has to meet these requirements. And since the programs we're discussing are almost all 12th grade students, it would meet the criteria to be listed as receiving an alternative accountability rating. Yep, sure.
The word alternative is being used. That's the way the state uses it. And that could actually have a negative connotation to it at times.
Yeah.
And so I just want to be clear that we're only using the word alternative as it relates to the accountability rating that the state provides. It has nothing to do with behavior. It has nothing to do with
good point.
Some sort of changing of behavior or attitudes, anything like that. In fact, none of the kids that would be under this alternative accountability rating would be placed there because of a behavior problem. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want to be clear with that, because it does have it should raise eyebrows if you didn't know that. So I just
Right.
want to make sure that
Yeah.
we're clear.
No, that's a good point. And I put the link at the bottom where you can click on that. And the title of the web page is exactly the title of the slide. That's the background. But that's a good point, Dr. Robinson. This is just an enrollment overview of the programs from last year. Give you an idea of kind of how large the programs are, or not as large as you might have thought they would be. But just kind of an overview here. So I want to talk about procedures because what we've been discussing, Dr. Robinson and I, and the secondary administrations were briefed on this too, is what happens now versus what would happen in the future really would be to the end user, the student, the teachers, really nominal, if any differences. So what happens now, students who are recommended for the GED Option 2 program, Shared Journeys, or the CTS program through their IEP teams, currently in Skyward remain at their home schools. They're literally just scheduled into a class that's titled GED. They might be AM or PM, CTS. They're scheduled, but within their home traditional comprehensive high school or at DOCI. Students who graduate from the GED program receive a West Dallas, West Milwaukee School District diploma, but can walk with their home school. And those are the details. So that's kind of what currently happens. What's proposing in the future, if pending board approval, would be students who are recommended for the same things we just discussed would be transferred from their home high school to the Madison School entity. Students could be dual enrolled if that was part of their plan. That would be up to their school counselor, the team at the Madison School. Those conversations that currently exist would still happen. Students who are involved in extracurriculars would participate with their home school, just like if a student's at DOCI, they want to play sports, where can they play? They play from the school that their neighborhood residents do. Same thing. And then students who graduate from GED would receive the same diploma and still could walk with their home school. So really, it's just it's a coding change on the district side. That's what we're proposing.
The coding change that he speaks of right now, unfortunately, the way that the state does it, if a kid is in CTS and they've already completed, the prerequisite of the 12 years in school, but because of IEP, they've been extended that time to go to attend CTS program.
Mm-hmm.
Those kids technically count as a dropout, unfortunately, at the home school right now. That is a major issue that we're trying to rectify. That doesn't it makes no sense to me. I haven't been able to figure that part out since I arrived here, how that happens.
Yeah.
It does not reward districts that take care of kids who want to, and parents who want to continue attending school.
Mm-hmm.
It really punishes the district. And so we're just trying to get that fine balance and allowing these kids to attend school, but for coding, not penalize the actual school that they attended as a student. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So kind of lastly, before I turn it over to President Burns here, kind of what would a timeline look like? So on the 13th, we discussed this at the College and Career Readiness Committee meeting. Tonight is the potential board approval, pending your thoughts. Tight turnaround here. I think if you guys were to give us kind of the thumbs up and we proceed, we would submit the required procedural documents to DPI. The main thing is the minutes from the board approving this, right? That would go along with that, this DPI. I've been working with Connie and her team about what this would look like in Skyward to get that up and running. So we're kind of ready to go if you guys give us the green light tonight to get that moving. But that would look like this week, really submitting everything to DPI, the required documents, getting the schedules built in the Madison School entity, and then having the conversations with the different programs about how to do that. We would certainly help them get the students into the entity, scheduled appropriately. Again, we're just taking what exists in their home high school and then replicating that in the Madison School entity. The last thing I want to mention, and I'll let Dr. Robinson speak about this too, is we're looking at trying to this school year review kind of the progress that's been made at DLVA with the reduced credit pathway as an option potentially for the 27-28 school year. I think the reason that that's not coming tonight is that we're just not ready for that at this point. And if you want to expand more on that, Dr. Robinson.
Yeah, the idea is to actually have that pathway able for our students who are attending DOCI, Hale, as well as Central, and we would use the Madison School as sort of that vehicle to drive for those students to attend. That's a year away. We're going to use this year to really, really plan and how that will look. We are working with Leanne Lockhart. Leanne Lockhart is a CEO of Elevate, who is working currently with DLVA. So a lot of the things that DLVA comes in and talks to us about, Leanne has really helped them with it. She has a wealth of knowledge and experience in bringing programs under one roof in her previous work. So I knew who to tap into to help us with this. And so we're very confident that we can come up with a plan, and we will review with you in the next couple of months of how we're moving in a direction, if that's the direction we go in.
So with that, I'll turn it over to President Burns.
All right, thank you. Questions from the board? Mr. Lee?
I have a couple. Would it be expected that there would be a need for additional admin positions in the creation of this school?
At this point, I don't think so, because the programs are operating as they have been. I know that for our CTS program, Mr. Locke is stationed and set up there pretty much every day with working with that program. At this point, I don't think so. I think if we looked at the reduced credit pathway option, that might be a need to maybe look at student services support, likely administration on site as well.
Okay. And there's no requirement, to your knowledge, that if we create this school, that there has to be like a principal or anything like that, because it's a school.
Yeah, we'd have to have an administrator on record that oversees the programs, but that doesn't required to have a principal on site as the program manager. So all the programs have an administrator that they're tied to. So
Right.
like, for example, Aaron Hansen Baisley is a licensed administrator with Shared Journeys. Tim is with CTS. And then Justin Kosick oversees GED. So we have satellite people working with each program that help with admissions, applicate things like that.
So who would be put down then for that?
For the Madison school entity, I think likely Justin Kosick. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then you had mentioned that the students that were part of Madison School would still walk with their home school. So there's not going to be a separate Madison School graduation or anything like that.
Correct. Yeah.
The only thing I would say is the CTS graduation that I know I look forward to going to every year would continue.
Sure.
Yeah,
But if those parents would choose that they would also be able to walk with their homeschool, then that's still an option.
Yeah, good point.
Okay. And then when it comes to participation in sports and things like that, the dual enrollment should be able to allow them, if that is how it works for that particular student, to still participate in sports.
Yes.
In athletics or theater or whatever.
It would work the same way it works at DACI currently. Two
Okay.
different entities, a student would be transferred, and then if the student's plan would go, hey, I'd like to do this extracurricular, not offered at DACI, they would have the opportunity to do that. And then, yeah, same process.
Okay. And the last thing I feel like I have to say in regards to the name, and I understand that, I understand the rationale as far as trying to honor the school that was there, but for those of us who were part of that decision and the feelings that were felt at that time from that community, I just worry a little bit about the fact that we closed the school and now we're opening up another school, a different school with the same name. So I didn't know if that was set in stone or anything like that, but I just, and I personally don't have any like feelings one way or another about it, but I just feel like I should bring it up knowing some of the conversations that were had at that time when we closed Madison Elementary.
Sure.
That was actually brought up in committee. I agree with you. Personally, I live in that neighborhood. I live a half a block from there. That was a gut-wrenching decision to close Madison. And I mean, this is a community that literally we took out some of the the playground, and within 2 seconds, I had people like, what's going on with the playground? It's a very protected entity in that neighborhood. And I think that it's going to be very confusing if you say we have Madison School, well, not elementary school, but I think that's something that the district should consider.
Yeah.
Just wanted to comment. When I was asked this particular question, I said, well, we need to talk to Ms. Deal. So I appreciate her weighing in a little bit. That's an actual quote from me. I did say that because you know way more than I know about that area, and that will be taken into consideration. I don't want us to get caught up so much though tonight on the name. We can revisit the name formally. That's okay. I want us to focus more on the idea and the need to to recognize what we're trying to do, as well as to allow our students to continue to have a great experience in their education. So if that's okay, I agree with no argument here. I'm not, tied to it, but could we revisit that in committee and then work if there's an auxiliary committee of some sort of ad hoc that needs to be added about name change? We can always do that as well.
Yeah.
I'm open for those
Go through a
conversations.
process to decide on new, I mean, that's something we could do.
Yeah, and my concern isn't about the rationale. The rationale makes sense to me for about doing it, but there's an optics thing too that I think we have to consider when we're doing stuff like this.
Sure.
We're saying we're creating a school, right? And so people can say, why are you creating a school when you close 3 schools? Like, doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So when you attach the name of a school that was close to it, it makes it even more complicated in my mind. So, but the rationale for doing it makes 100% sense to me for doing it. And I just want to make sure we aren't going to create like more administration positions because we're creating a new school technically on paper, essentially, even though it's the same programs that are already existing there.
Okay. Yep. Mr. Keller?
Yeah, I just want to piggyback on that in the optics. I think when we closed Madison, part of it was the cost to keep it in an operational state. And now we are kind of committing to having programs here, what sounds like longer term. I would imagine there's going to be some questions about that. If it was in such bad shape that it didn't make sense to keep that building open and operational, what's changed? I would imagine those questions are going to arise.
It's a good question, Mr. Keller. I think and I'm trying to recall, I know I was worked very closely with the board at the time on what schools and why. I think and Ms. Steele, you might remember more than I do on this, but I think the thinking was closing Madison was literally just due to space. It was physical size of the building with enrollment. The building itself is in great shape. And the second point to your question, it's a good question, Mr. Keller. The reason those programs are there because it saved us other costs to not have this other programs in different leases and things like that. So I get your point because people will have that question. I mean, it makes sense,
At the same time, I agree with you. What could come out of this, what people could say or wonder, but the CTS program is growing. And that was one reason we had to move them out of Franklin Fieldhouse because we just outgrew that space. And so Madison was just a great landing spot for those kids. And that program is continuing to grow. And so we're also, other school districts use our program as well. So I know Franklin and Oak Creek as well. So, it's just something that's in high need to go on.
Yeah, I understand the rationale. I'm just kind of thinking out loud about some of the questions that could arise.
For sure, yeah.
Okay. Other questions from the board? Okay. So then I guess at this time I'd entertain a motion with the understanding that we'll look at revisiting the naming and optics at a later date.
Motion to approve 10.2, establishing the Madison School.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Are there any modifications? All right, no modifications. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes. Thank you very much. All right, and that will take us to 10.3, resolution authorizing easement at Irving Elementary. Mr. Norris, you'll be leading this one?
Yeah, I'll take this one here.
Okay.
So the easement we're looking for the board to consider an approval is at Irving Elementary. It's due to the increased electrical requirements that are needed for the air conditioning. So essentially giving We Energies the easement allows them to help provide upgrades to those things and access to those things if there's a power outage, things like that. So it's tied to the referendum construction, and Bill's here tonight to talk through some of the updates for you guys in the workshop. So.
All right, that's it.
That's it.
That's it. All right.
It's a quick one.
It was. Any questions at this time? All right, then I
Move
would
to
enter.
approve 10.3.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Are there any modifications? All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, and that passes. Thank you very much. And that will take us to our workshops for tonight, starting with 11.1, our recreation and community services, high school athletics. Ms. Strasser.
All right, good evening and thank you, everyone. Just want to provide a little bit of background and introduction for our workshop tonight in 24-25 school year. And then, and even prior to that, we did a lot of work on developing our athletic strategic plan with a lot of focus really in the areas of student participation and engagement. And from that also came our work with school perceptions, in which we now do end of the year surveys. So from that, we have asked our athletic directors to create actual goals for the athletic programs around engagement, around participation. So tonight, what they'll be presenting, we'll have Katie Rucka from West Dallas Central go first, and then Trevor. It's gonna be a little bit of a look back, right, to last year, 25-26, what their goals were, what strategies they implemented to try and achieve those goals, what the results and outcomes were, and then using that information and data from the surveys and many other touch points, what their goals are then moving into the 26-27 school year. So I will turn it over to Katie.
All right. This picture is from, this picture's from our state qualifiers from wrestling. So that's Prince, Zahir, Cameron, and Deuce Sharp, who just graduated this year. Just showing how cool we are at wrestling. All right. So last year, can they hear me? Oh, okay. Last year, in general, the athletic department at Central, we created a TOA, a theory of action, kind of similarly and in line with what the school had created, kind of working together to, achieve somewhat the same goals, using athletics as a catalyst to increase attendance, things like that. One of the things that we really focused on in those athletic department goals was participation, just engagement in athletics, participation for athletes, but then also participation from the student section at games, and then community relationships. So how we are perceived by the community in parents with, youth, alumni, community organizations, things like that. So we set some goals. Athletics participation from last year was to increase student participation by 5%. We started off the 24-25 school year, had 31% of students participate in athletics, and at the end of last year, it increased to 36%. Or that was our goal. In 2025 and 26, we had 35% participate in athletics. So it was a dramatic increase from where we were, which was really exciting. We did not have a lot of turnover with coaching, which I think really keeps kids in the program. So we focused on coaching consistency, program success, and then we increased some marketing strategies, instituted a weekly newsletter, created like a student athlete of the week, kind of tried to give some more jobs to student aides that were helping out with the athletic department, what they thought they wanted in terms of, getting people out there. With community partnerships, we had a goal. There's a question on the school perceptions survey that Shelley was referring to that says partnerships with local organizations, youth programs, and alumni are evident. Our score from 2024 was 6.08. So we were hoping to just increase by 0.5 point with that. And we ended up achieving-ish 6.57. I'm going to give myself the extra. To say that we did increase our organization with youth programs and alumni, and that the community recognized that we were kind of taking more steps to be more cohesive. Some strategies we used was just increased collaboration with youth sports. We really tried to and continue to try to promote Booster Club. And then our coaches are looking to, and they are, I guess, increasing how their partnerships with local businesses are leveraged, trying to create more community. I know last year, after it flooded, the football team was out with with the guys that were helping clean up flooding. They were just going around the neighborhoods. It's, things like that. We're trying to be more noticed in a positive way. So for this year, kind of building off of what we had accomplished last year, keeping our similar theory of action goals with participation and community relationships, but then adding a leadership part of that to really give students the opportunity to be student athlete leaders. Hoping that we could then increase again our participation by 5%, that we would be able to start a student athlete leadership team, really have them be the voice for student athletics rather than just me and Miss Shear. And then just continuing on with our community relationships, trying to pursue some community connections to hopefully increase by the same amount. So 0.5, half a point for that on the survey. This just shows that a little more clearly. We did end up 35% of athletes or 35% of students participate in athletics, hoping to increase that to 40% by next year. That would be this year's current goal. We'll look at that again in June. Student athlete leadership, last year, it was a thought in the brain to have a student athlete leadership team. I know that it was really successful at Hale. But we're establishing one now as well. So we're hoping to start with at least 20 athletes. We'll have monthly meetings. There is collaboration with student athlete leadership at the state level. I know we can bring one student or one female student, one male student from each student athlete leadership program to represent our school at the state level. But we are also, with the new Woodland conference that we have, we are creating our own student athlete leadership summit at a conference level. So we would like to invite those athletes to conference meetings. So we'd have kind of like a hierarchy of leadership opportunities for these students. And then just increasing, like I said, the community partnership score for that specific question from 6.58 to 7.08. Some strategies we were hoping to do to get there, just continuing on a lot of the things that we are doing. But I really think the athletics participation and student athlete leadership, I think, are going to really go together for us in this area. I think the consistent social media presence was definitely helpful. I think seeing successful programs is helpful, like the newsletter, Student Athlete of the Week, for sure. But it was really interesting. Last year, I got a comment from one of our student athlete leaders who said, they were like, yeah, I mean, like the department, the adults are really about like the athletic events, but like we don't know about them. So it was super interesting. So it was like, all right, well then maybe you guys need to be the ones to kind of like help drive some of this stuff, because, if I can, maybe I'm just not as cool as I thought I was. So I need them to be kind of like in the schools and saying, this is the student section. This is what we're going to do for this opportunity. These are the standards that we're going to set, and kind of work with them hand in hand. Also, to kind of bridge all three together, was hoping to leverage the student athlete leaders in the high school level to connect with the middle school and the elementary schools through their athletic programs, and just maybe any student who maybe would need or benefit from some sort of high school mentor. I know that we work at Central with Mr. Rick, but so does West Milwaukee. So there's already kind of a bridge there with that sort of, I don't know, that type of mentorship. So it would be kind of the idea to say, all right, we're going to take our student athlete leaders, we're going to bring them to the schools. Like, let's see, here are the football players, right? These are people that you want to be. You can look up to these guys. They can serve as mentors for you if they need, I don't know, any sort of connection with that. Trying to get more kids, not just to participate in athletics, but also to be proud of being a Central Bulldog. Something I've known or recognized from being in the district for a really long time is that there is a lot of Central pride, and just trying to instill that and build that up. And like, yes, we are proud to be Bulldogs and, follow this pathway, and sticking with our district athletics initiative of like staying in the district for athletics and not going elsewhere. I also think it would be fun. Would love to kind of be at more community events. again, like using student athlete leaders to increase participation, but being at farmers markets and things like that. So I was working with Carolyn Hahn to see if, how we could figure those things out. So I guess a lot of things in the works. The one benefit I think we have this year is that I'm not going to be on maternity leave. And I think we have, I know just in speaking about, football has been kind of I think a good metaphor for how Central Athletics has been over the past few years. I think we kind of started with like, yeah, here's the basics. Things are, we got people out, we're playing, but brought in, Coach Calvin and his crew. And I think we've seen he's changed the trajectory of not just football, but how students react to athletics at school. And I'm really seeing that now. I mean, I think that, 3 years ago, the kids were kind of embarrassed to be on the football team. It was not something that you walked around with like pride. And especially after we won a couple of games last year. We were, team of the week a couple of years ago. And now winning this first game, the vibe of Central Athletics is just different. They are just proud. They are proud to say that they went to school with Yusuf Gray Jr. So I just think of building on a lot of the successes that we had. Just to like really talk about how cool we are for a second. I know fall sports coming up. Boys soccer was in a strange place. I know that we've co-opted it's been a few years now. But we got our first playoff win last year that we had in like 10 years. And this year, the coach was actually like, holy cow, they had 56 guys out for boys soccer, which is huge. They actually had to make cuts for the first time in years. Boys volleyball is just continual regional champs. Girls volleyball won the sportsmanship award for for Volleyball Officials Association, which is pretty cool. Yusuf Gray for basketball was voted player of the year. Wrestling was conference champs last year, and we had 2 of those state qualifiers. Cheer got 4th at state, dance got 11th at state, and then we sent a triple jump and a high jumper to state for track. So just really exciting things, I think, going on to build off and create more momentum. So that's that. Go for it, Trevor.
And I think you'll recognize that Katie and I work a lot together and we kind of pick each other's brains. So a lot of the stuff that we have on hers, some of that stuff is going to be on mine as well. I'm not as good as just talking off the cuff as Katie is, so I actually have notes here. So last year, my focus was establishing a strong foundation for Nathan Hale Athletics. We identified 4 key areas that we wanted to improve. Those key areas were student leadership, coaching development, communication, and student athlete participation. Our goal was to create systems that would give our students a greater voice by starting a student leadership team called SALT, as Katie mentioned, provide our coaches with better support and development by offering professional development, improve how we communicate with our community and within the school by increased visibility on social media and by using newsletters, and ultimately getting more students involved in athletics. Student leadership was a major accomplishment last year with the establishment of our SALT team. We selected 8 student athletes, 1 male and 1 female from each grade level, 9 through 12. Coaches nominated the student athletes based on leadership qualities, character, communication skills, and commitment. Throughout the years, SALT gave me something I didn't have before, a direct voice within the athletic department. We talked about athletic issues, student concerns, school spirit, facilities, weight room, game day experiences, and ways we can improve the overall student athlete experience at Hale. We were also able to take some of their ideas and put them into action, including experimenting with a halftime contest, improving and organizing athletic spaces in the school, and gathering student input about future school improvements. The goal moving forward is to take SALT from being a group that provides feedback to a group that actually leads initiatives. We got a good experience at the WIA Leadership Summit and heard what from other students across the state of Wisconsin were doing at their schools. This year, we will have the Woodland Conference SALT program, which Katie talked about, where we'll meet once a month, and all the schools in our conference meet together and try to get ideas of what we can do at all of our schools to combine it to create sportsmanship. Another area was coaching development. Coaching development was another area we made progress. We achieved 100% completion of required WIAA sport-specific exams and training before coaches began their competitions last year. These exams are required for each coach to complete and contains the rules for their specific sport and any rule changes which were made in the upcoming season. I held 3 professional development sessions with all the coaches. These sessions focused on school policies, WIAA rule changes, and expectations for coaches and emergency procedures. An example would be the EAP, the Emergency Action Plan, which was new last year. Before each contest, the athletic director, the athletic trainer, or coach, depending on who was there, had to make sure that everyone knew what happens in an emergency if it occurred and what those responsibilities were. These included where the AEDs were, if we had a trainer at the game, where they would be located at, where an ambulance would arrive in case of an emergency, and if there was an inclement weather, where we would go. Social media and communication. We wanted Nathan Hale Athletics to have a consistent presence and make sure that student athletes were being recognized on social media and recognition and communication with families. We introduced our student athlete of the week and created the Husky Howl athletic newsletter and increased our game day communication across athletic programs. We increased the number of Facebook and Instagram athletic posts by approximately 350% compared to the previous year. Also, we added a touchscreen in our Athletic Hall of Fame, which is located in our athletic hallway. This touchscreen does more than just display people who are inducted into the Hall of Fame. It has the ability to highlight facilities, championship teams, student artwork, concert, plays, and much more. You can look forward to seeing what it will do in the near future when we get it all up and running. We just want to make sure that every athlete and athletic program gets recognized throughout the season. We also concentrated on our student athlete participation. Our participation goal was ambitious. We wanted to increase student athlete participation by 15% during the 2025-26 school year. We focused on some strategies to accomplish that. We hired some quality coaches, created successful programs like softball, going to state, the cheer program. We had cross country, track, Special Olympics basketball, and other programs that went to state last year. We improved our newsletter and social media presence and started building relationships with our youth programs. We finished last year with 599 student athletes compared to the year before, which was 566. That represents an increase of approximately 5.8%. So while we did not reach our goal of 15%, we did move the participation in the right direction. When I look at our goals from last year, the important question is simply whether we reached every number. The bigger question is, what did we learn and what do we build from here? We established SALT. Now we want students to lead. We achieved WIAA compliance. Now we want coaches to continue developing professionally. We increased our communication. Now we want to take that communication and make it consistent across every program. We increased our participation by 5.8%, and now we want to identify programs that need additional support and develop specific recruitment and retention strategies. Our 2026-27 athletic goals are taking the work we started from last year and making each goal more measurable and more impactful. Our student leadership development goal is to have one student athlete leader from every varsity program participate in SALT. So that would increase basically from 8 to about 20. We want also to SALT to complete at least 3 student-led initiatives during the year. That could include halftime competition, something maybe during the pep assembly, or even a service project. The purpose is to move beyond simply asking students about their opinions and give them opportunities to actually lead, whether it's improving sportsmanship, school spirit, service, or others, or student athlete wellness. This year we already had our football team. We have our spirit thing all set up. Last week was surfers versus bikers. So every week we'll have something out there and we'll let everybody know what that is. Second is coaching development. Last year, we focused heavily on WIAA compliance, making sure every coach completed and required the training. This year, we're taking it to the next step. Our goal is for every coach to have 3 meaningful professional development opportunities. So not only coming to our meeting and learning about rule changes and stuff like that, but also going to a coach clinic in their specific sport, or maybe even having a professional speaker come in and talk to all of our coaches. The expectation is better trained and more confident coaches will create better experiences for our student athletes and continue to strengthen our programs. Oops. I think I already read that one. Now, when I take a look where Hale Athletics is today compared to where we were a year ago, I believe we're making meaningful progress. We established student leadership structure, achieved 100% compliance, increased our communication, and we increased our participation by nearly 6%. What we've created is a foundation that allows us to be more specific and measurable goals moving forward. But we're not finished. The next step is to develop leaders, develop coaches, increase participation, and tell our story better. Ultimately, our athletic program should provide students with opportunities to compete, lead, grow, and belong. At Nathan Hale Athletics, it's more about wins and losses. It's about developing young people. It's about teaching hard work, accountability, leadership, and excellence. Our goals for next year are designed to make the athletic program stronger, but more importantly, to make experience better for the students who participate in them. Now, for the fun part, you ready? All right. All right. So we have done a lot of collaboration this year, and these are a couple of things that Katie and I have worked on. First is our co-op teams. Her and I, split the teams, and we just make sure that we try to attend each other's co-ops. We have some great teams. In the future, we might have more, we might have less, we don't know. Scheduling of shared facilities. I know last year we shared our facilities with Central. We just tried to make sure that we gave them a good home to come to for their volleyball games and some other stuff that they had. And they did the same thing for us this summer when our gym was not in use. We went over there and had open gyms and stuff this summer. We greatly appreciated it. The new signage at the West Allis Athletic Complex, those are almost up. It looks great. I know the big thing is, especially this year when we have the Battle of the Dogs, you guys are the home team, so you guys are on the west sideline. We are on the east sideline, and when parents sat with the signs of Central behind the Hale, they did not like that. So this year it'll just be a neutral signage, and it looks really nice. We have our dance and cheer joint performances, which are always a lot of fun. And for the Battle of the Dogs, you get the first glimpse of our logo this year. We will have a store that goes out where anybody can buy a shirt. You can get gray, maroon, green, whatever you want for the shirt color. And then we'll also order 100 extra shirts to sell at the game. So that's what the logo will look like. The game is on September 11th. And then another big thing is concessions. I'm sorry, I'm talking all over here. You can, I know. So what we decided to do was have a competition this year with our concession stands, and Central has the Victor E Bulldog, and Hale has the Herbie Husky Dog. And basically, we're going to have a tally of how many hot dogs we sell this year. It is a very large Costco hot dog, which you can buy there. And at the first football game, unfortunately, the Bulldogs are in the lead right now with 67 hot dogs, and Huskies have sold 55. So we're going to be doing this for the whole year, and we'll keep tally, and we'll have like a tally going on social media and see where it goes. But I think it would just be a little fun thing that we can do and have a little fun competition with it.
Yeah, I think in general, my time being just in the district and being, I guess, now the AD for the past 4 years, I haven't felt the collaboration between Central and Hale. I think it exists, but I really feel like now we're kind of embodying that. I think it's just becoming like kind of way more fun. Like, yes, cheer and dance get to do all of the things they're performing at back to the co-ops for sure, but cheer and dance are performing at the farmers market, back to school bash. Both everyone's doing all that. So it's just kind of fun to like kind of really promote athletics from a district wide standpoint and say like, yeah, we're helping each other out. It's all for fun, right? Like we're, trying to empower student leaders and all that.
And make it a healthy rivalry where it's fun to go against each other instead of a hatred thing. So yes.
Also, our Bulldog mascot is actually named Victor E.
Victor
That
E.
is the name.
And ours is Herbie. Victor E and Herbie.
All right, then we'll turn it over to President Burns.
Thank you very much. And all right, yeah, questions. Mr. Kelly.
I should turn that on. So great to hear that numbers are going up. However, you mentioned boys soccer and how there actually had to be cuts this year. So double-edged sword there, right? Because I think one of the things that we want to look at is teams that are competitive, right? And I think combining helps that, right? But I also hope we're keeping track of, hey, are we having this problem every year? And do we need to look, I guess, at potentially down the road separating again? Is that something that's kind of on the radar? Just to keep an eye on?
It is. I think the other thing we have to keep in mind, when we're talking about number of teams and that, not everybody, right, could we have had 3 teams? Possibly, maybe, but who would the kids have played? Because not all the schools in our conference or even non-conference games have 3 teams. So that's something, not a lot do for boys soccer. So it's something to look at, but what a great problem to have, right? If we would have to unco-op, I don't know if in our history of the district, anybody ever came and said, hey, we'd like to ask the board to unco-op. But if we get to that point, that'd be wonderful.
Mr. Keller, that's all you needed?
That's all I need.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Just checking. Anyone else? Questions for the presentation? Yes, Ms. Brecker.
Just for looking through, I see a lot of good things. One thing that does concern me still, like we've talked about the middle school and developing athletes. I don't see anything about developing athletes or a philosophy or anything about enhancing, like how do we build athletes? I know one of the captains from the team was a sophomore. I think that's fantastic. That's the kind of thing that I think if you see a young kid with talent, you foster it, you develop it, you challenge them. So I guess I just kind of wonder maybe it's not the right document for that, but with everything else, I think that needs to be a point of emphasis. Like Mr. Keller was saying, we've got programs, we've got growth, but we got to make sure we're developing strength.
There are some things kind of, I don't want to say going on behind the scenes because they're not really behind the scenes, but some work being done with our intermediate school programs and just like rec sports in general. I know Bobby partnered with the high schools to provide a baseball and softball clinic, and the coaches that ran it were our high school athletes. I know he's been trying to work with track coaches to find sometimes that they can do some unified practices so our high school kids can help. Yep, cross country too. Wrestling, cheer. We've been doing some youth. The cheer teams have done youth clinics and just youth classes to get kids to kind of learn about. So we didn't include our kind of middle school intermediate because we do have 2 different parts. We have our rec sports for 6th, 7th, 8th grade, but then we also have our intermediate school sports. And kind of like we've been talking about, we're struggling to find in some sports other schools to compete against. So it's been a bit of our challenge.
I was going to say that's a great question too, because if you look at cheerleading, as you said, not only did we add a JV team this year, but they're also adding a junior Husky cheer team. So that's what a lot of coaches are starting to do is go down to the lower levels and start working with those kids.
All right. Other questions from the board? Okay. Well, I don't have any questions for you. I think this looks great, and I'm happy. Oh, yeah, sure.
I have to ask, how are you guys going to tally the hot dogs during the Battle of the Dogs game?
So here's the cool thing. All right. So with Bound, which is our new software that we're using this year, Bound has the ability to not only do our tickets, but it also has the ability to do the concession stand. So last year it was basically, we didn't even know what we sold. At the end of the night, you just had a register full of money. This year, it keeps track of everything you sell, whether it's credit card or cash. So your soda, your pretzels, your candy, everything. So that's the cool thing about the program that we're using this year. It tallies and inventories everything.
Separate.
I hear you. Well, I would say technically that is a central event. So for that event, they would probably, I mean, if you want me to set up a separate grill and do that, I will, but yeah. Yeah. There are things we don't think about, but hey, they might need the cushion. So, hey.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Just made things a lot more complicated now. But no, I think that this is great. And then I think the improvement as far as what we had presented last year for our consistency and this year, our consistency and these friendly rivalries, I think are great to see. So I really appreciate all the work that you guys have put into this. So thank you so much for your presentation.
No problem.
All right. And with that, that will take us to 11.2, or 2024 referendum updates, workshop number 5. Go ahead. All right, our board just ran away for a moment, so if you just give us a minute. We've got quorum. Yeah, let's do this. Yep, they can get back in here.
That's great.
Oh, okay. Hi, thanks for having us. While I was waiting, listening to the other presentations, I was doing a little math. So it's been 10 weeks since we got out of school, 50 working days. In that period of time, we did construction in 10 different schools. We have remodeled 35 bathrooms, 90 to 100 toilets and urinals have been replaced. And we've done about 15 to 18 million dollars worth of work. Pretty remarkable. And a couple of our partners are here tonight from CG Schmidt and Growth Design. I just wanted to acknowledge the work they put in this summer. We've done a lot of work in the schools and had a lot of success for the referendum projects. So with that, we'll just kind of tell you about some of the things we've been up to. So we completed a number of projects either this spring or summer. First of all, West Milwaukee, we did a bunch of HVAC work, which is the behind the scenes heating and cooling. We replaced the chiller there, which is the big piece of equipment that goes on the roof that provides cooling for the school. We also replaced 4 boilers. A lot of equipment that goes with that, pumps, pipes, all kinds of craziness, tanks, and lots of good stuff. So that all got replaced. We got that working for the end of the school year, so we had good cooling in the school. Also for summer school this summer, we had good cooling for our folks there, which was great. We also replaced a very large section of roof. In that picture you see there, it is the pinkish orangish section on the top of the screen, and then a couple different awnings and the entrance awning and a few other areas as well. So a lot of good work at West Milwaukee. Dotkey, we did a bunch of work there. Remember, we had some steam leaks, we had some issues with the heating system, and we wanted to add cooling as well for the main gym at Dotkey. So that was accomplished. We have cooling in that space. We've got new RTUs. We've got the surrounding offices, the surrounding areas, bathrooms, etc., that now have refurbished and renewed heating and cooling. We were also able to give the gym a refresh. If you're able to stop by there and take a look at it, it looks great. New ceiling, we had to remove the old. It had some challenges. It had some remediation issues. So it's got a brand new ceiling, new lighting, new ducting, and new paint. So it looks fresh, clean, and great. We also replaced the roofing there that needed to be taken care of. So a good, really successful work there this summer as well. FLW. So we're on the tail stretch of finishing our work at FLW. A lot of it's done. A couple things will carry over into the fall a little bit, but we did the full referendum schedule here at Frank Lloyd Wright this summer. That means bathrooms, air handlers, boiler replacements. We started last fall the exterior concrete work. We did some more of that this spring and summer. A lot of bathroom work here. So the bathrooms are in the home stretch and are finishing up this week, ready for school next week. Good stuff there. Hale, of course, a lot of work going on there, the full referendum package. Bathroom remodels, the new gym floor in the Aux auxiliary gym, pool upgrades, main gym floor replacement was already complete, but we did go ahead and do a bunch of ceiling work. We removed that old worn out ceiling, took it up to the deck, repainted it, added new lighting, that type of work. A lot of bathroom work at Hale. Those are done and looking great. Fresh, clean, new fixtures, and everything's looking good there. A lot of work at Hale. We're in the home stretch. I think we're turning on the AC in the weight room like tomorrow. Aux gym follows, then the main gym. So there will no longer be any graduations without AC at Hale. We'll have nice, cool graduations moving forward. A number of other items being taken care of there. Our cafeteria RTU has seen it's on its last legs and seen better days. That's being replaced. We were able to remodel a trainer's room. If you'd been in our old one, that was challenged. So we're able to add a utility room where the old one was. And we've added a washer, a dryer, moved our ice maker in there and given us a nice clean landing place for our equipment. So a lot of good stuff at Hale. It's looking great. And Irving. So Irving has seen a lot of work as well. All the bathrooms have been remodeled. We added a personal care space for our special needs folks that has a built-in shower area as well. Looks really sharp. The ramp, exterior ramp for transitioning between the upper and lower playgrounds is nearly complete. We're waiting on fencing and rails to be installed later this week and into next week. A little bit of landscaping and away we go with the ramp. Really exciting. It looks great. Really comprehensive reworking of our HVAC system here. It was very challenged. And we did a lot of architectural and engineering work to come up with the solution that we are providing here. It's mostly moving to the roof, except for the boilers will remain where they are and provide the heat they provide that way, but we're adding 6 RTUs on the roof, ducting through that system. We've added ducting in the classrooms. We're now going to have AC in the classrooms, heat through that system, individual classroom control, which we didn't have before. So if classroom A was hot or cold, B, C, D, E probably all got adjusted as well. Now teacher A can adjust their class. B, C, everybody can adapt their space as needed. Really important at a school like that because we have a lot of different wings and they get different exposures. They have different heating and cooling needs. So it was really the right system to put in here that can allow us to have that individual control in the classrooms. Good stuff there. That's that work will carry into the fall. We've got a lot going on there, but the system will be up and operational this fall for the heating season. Our existing system remains in place, so we're still moving air and we're still have the existing system until the new system comes online. Pershing. So Pershing, a smaller school with a lot happening. Bathrooms remodeled. A lot of HVAC work again. Chiller replacement, boiler replacement, air handler work that moves the air around. So a lot of good stuff there. We're in the home stretch on a few things. A few things will happen into the school year, namely our elevator replacement. We have the shaft in place. We have the equipment room in place. We're just waiting for the elevator equipment to arrive in a couple weeks. We'll install that. We have a brand new elevator right as you enter into the hallway of the main corridor. It's going to be a great location and a really useful, very much needed and welcome addition to the school. It looks great, a great location. With that, we were able to do some remodeling in the library room that serves as a multi-purpose workspace for our 3D printers, et cetera. That got a refresh. One of our other offices associated to it also got a refresh. So a lot of great work going on at Pershing. Our K4, our K5 bathrooms also got remodeled there. So good work at Pershing. And then Central. Obviously, you all know the work we've done at Central with the Fieldhouse remodel that got finished in December and January and all the associated areas with that. This summer, we tackled the pool. We had some infrastructure work that had to be done there with the main drain and associated things like that, so that it's lasted 50 years. We want to last another 50 years. So we took care of that work, got it cleaned up. We got a new deck in there. We got it painted. It is open for business as of yesterday, and the swim team is already in there using it. So that's the work that has taken place this summer. Some of it started in the spring, and some will carry over into the fall a little bit. Some other things that are going on, and these are more ongoing items. They're catch-all work that's being handled across the district at all of our schools. So first we have camera replacements, which the referendum calls for us to replace all of our analog cameras with digital. So that's starting this fall. We'll just roll from school to school doing that work. That will happen through the school year. We can do that in a non-intrusive way without affecting students or staff. So camera replacements. Also, we have concrete masonry and tuck pointing work. You've seen some of the flat work we've done at like Frank Lloyd Wright, Central. Hale got a new entrance, much needed new entryway for flat work. This fall, we're going to start some masonry and tuck pointing, meaning that building envelope, the sides, you know, the brickwork. We have a lot of masonry buildings. So we're going to begin doing work at Hale, Frank Lloyd Wright, and Pershing this fall for masonry and tuck pointing. And then we've been going school by school replacing our PA systems. Our backbone is outdated. Our hardware and software is no longer supported and not very functional. So we're upgrading it to a digital interface, really user-friendly. We no longer have to have a central person go in and change everything. We can do that in the school by multiple users in the school. We can change our bell systems, whatever they need in the moment. Much more user-friendly. So we've already knocked out 5 schools. We'll do 5 more this fall, and then we'll just keep rolling till we're done with the PA systems. And this is just a large sheet doing an overall summary of generally where we fall with our finances to date. This is part of my board report you've seen for the last few updates as well. And, okay, moving into next summer, spring, summer, we are currently in the design and planning phase for the schools for next year. So our partners at Growth Design, Architecture, as well as IMEG, our engineers, are very active in our schools for next summer already. We have been basically since June already planning next summer's schools. We have to get into the spaces, measure things, analyze the equipment that's there, and determine what needs to be replaced specifically and what we can use and reuse in these spaces. So a lot of work happening on the design engineering phase right now. We just did our first round of budgeting. So we did an initial design, then we go through a budgeting phase. Okay, can we afford what we think we would like to afford? We literally just before this meeting had our first meeting on the budgeting phase for next summer's schools. Looks good. We have a few things we need to work on, but we want to fall within these budgets that we have assigned for each school, and so far so good. But so The schools we're looking at working on next summer are Franklin. Similar themes of what we're going to be doing: bathrooms, roofing, AC, or associated HVAC work, whether it's boilers, chillers, that type of thing. Walker, we're also doing very similar: bathrooms, boilers, getting AC in the school. We did complete some roofing there this summer already, so that is completed. And we're going to be doing a little bit of exterior work there as well, trying to reimagine some of the sea of blacktop we have there and improving the experience some of our kids have for our playgrounds and green space. Mitchell. So Mitchell needs some new boilers. They've seen better days and are quite old. And we are going to do a gym remodel there, as well as a lot of bathroom work as well. So Mitchell already has AC. So we will be upgrading and improving some of the components that go with it, but we do have cooling there already. And then finally, Horace Mann. Again, bathrooms, air handlers, no boilers, but we are adding AC as well to that school. We did complete some roofing already, and we just finished and turned over a completely remodeled elevator for them. Looks brand new, beautiful, fully functional, no more problems anymore. We had continuous problems there using our elevator. 3-story building, you need that elevator all the time. Now we have a brand new elevator for them. So, and then finally, West Milwaukee, we're going to circle back and finish the bathrooms. We already did all of their HVAC work this summer and spring, and we're also going to do elevator improvement for them. And then in 2028, our last phase, we will take care of Dotke, AC and bathrooms, Hoover, the full scope, which is very similar, AC and bathrooms, Jefferson as well, Wilson as well, and then endeavor into tackling the West Milwaukee pool. So we have explored all angles of keeping and renovating the West Milwaukee pool. We've had a couple different consultants come through, provide full detailed reports on the current situation, what we would need to do to bring the pool back active, and what we would need to do to make it code compliant. This was built many, many years ago. Code has changed drastically since it was built. The unfortunate result of all that is we don't believe we can revive it. It's just too challenged for many reasons. It's crumbling apart, really. You crawl underneath there and it's very, very challenged. And you know, okay, that is what it is. What could we do to remodel it, renovate it? Well, we've got these giant pillars and columns that support the school right up on the pool deck. That is no longer anywhere near code compliant. We'd have to find out how to move them, remove them, re-support the school. It's just far too challenging to do. So we have, with Dr. Robinson and Aaron, explored pursuing a different angle, which is adding a natatorium in the existing field to the, I guess that would be the north side of the school, and just building a standalone building. We also explored potentially, could we do an addition? Could we land it somewhere else in the school or connected to the school? Very challenging for a lot of reasons, but we have equipment in the way. We've got really challenges on how we would coordinate and attach the buildings. And I think in the long run, it would be more expensive and more challenging than really what we would get for doing that and making it attached to the existing building. So we're pursuing and exploring the idea of landing a standalone building as a natatorium with community space and community use. And I think it could be really exciting. And we would reimagine the existing parking, you know, that turnaround that isn't ideal, the entry into the school that isn't ideal, how the parking aligns and how that field exists. I think we can still keep all of those items, a field that gets used for our school and our community, a new pool, and really a little bit more coherent and thoughtful parking and promenade common areas. So that's what we're exploring with Growth and CG Schmidt, is how we can bring this idea to life. We're in the very preliminary, very conceptual idea stage right now. You can see a couple concepts there that sort of marry the modern with the look and coloring of our existing school. Exciting. So that's where we're at.
Yep. Just chime in. We did meet with Village President Stileski about 2 weeks ago now. And we talked to him about some of the issues that we were having with the infrastructure, the current infrastructure at West Milwaukee. And he actually started the conversation out by saying, I don't know how you guys are going to rebuild that pool. Okay. So that part was like done for us, like the bad news. And we went straight into, okay, I'm glad you said that. Here's what we're proposing. And he's very excited about the idea because this is truly a community space. This is what we're trying to aim for. A community space, not only for our students to use, but also community options when school is not in, and seniors during the day when we're not using it for classes. So has a lot of different opportunities for the community of West Milwaukee, which I believe they deserve.
Okay. So go ahead.
And then just to kind of wrap it up here. So with the communications plan, we are staying the course with our weekly feature Friday. Monthly, we have an update in our newsletter, which is now in the West Way. With our one-pagers, we update those on the website, which now includes additional projects. And then quarterly, alternating between a video and a mailer, and then ongoing updating our website, social media, and hosting events. So just to highlight a couple here, the feature Friday for Irving was the ramp progress. That was one of our most liked and engaged posts from about the last 4 or 5 months. In a similar vein, the Hale Pool progress was also one of our most engaged posts. So you can kind of see where people are maybe a little bit more invested in some of the projects that are going on. We did a feature video on the Pershing elevator. That was a huge additional project for for Pershing. Just something that was really needed. That's really going to go a long way in that school. And then on the right-hand side, on the top, we have the feature in our annual report on our referendum update. And then in that bottom right-hand corner is a mailer that has not yet been sent. And to kind of loop this all the way back to the beginning of the presentation, when Bill shared those stats on the progress that has been made in the last 10 weeks with this mailer, it has felt like we get it in a good spot. And then there's 7 more projects that were done. So then we're updating and then we're ready to go, but then we have to update it. So where we landed was the best plan would be to get through the summer. And once these projects are complete, because most are about 95, 97% of the way done, then we will have the mailer go out to all community members within our school district. So we have that just about ready to rock and roll. Just waiting for a couple more projects to finish up, and then we will get those out to mailboxes. And then with that, I will turn it back over to President Burns.
Great, thank you. Questions from the board? Sure. Ms. Deal?
It's not a question. I just wanted to thank you guys for your hard work, but I just want a huge shout out to the communications department. I think you've done a phenomenal job of really doing what we promised that we were going to do, which is updating our community and keeping them in the loop. So I appreciate both of you and the hard work that your teams do for us.
Thank you. Other questions? Mr. Talani, did you have?
I was going to say, just adding on to that, might also be good to feature this on Wednesday at the Back to School Bash, just to have a one-page flyer or just the slides going or something. I think could be, it's a celebratory moment to start the new school year. It would be great for people to see before they walk into buildings what those buildings look like.
Thank you. Was that? Yep. Mr. Becker?
Thanks. Seconded on the kudos for the communications. It's been on my feed pretty regularly, so that's really great to see. With that in mind, I saw the word events and one of those slides toward the end. I was curious if we had been having conversations on eventually having people into these spaces, because the pictures are great, the updates are great, but maybe at some point, I just wonder if we've talked about that, considered it.
Yes, so we are committed to our orange ribbon cutting ceremonies. So as we complete the full scope of projects at school, so we have a couple that are very close, we'll be hosting an orange ribbon cutting ceremony. As far as getting into the spaces, I think the students are going to have us all beat getting into those bathrooms and those elevators and the pools. So we won't be the first ones, but we will definitely celebrate them officially being open. Absolutely.
Could we schedule some behind the scenes tours though for any board members who would like to see? Is that possible? Okay, we can look at that.
And one more question too on was it was Irving the one that had the had gone past the budget? Like I was trying to recall whether we'd seen that in updates elsewhere. I was curious where that. I don't know if this is more of an Aaron question, where we're going to find those pennies.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, that's probably an Aaron question where we find the pennies. But when we kind of do the aggregate math, we're still to the good, right? Because we've found some pretty good savings on a number of the schools already. Central had really good savings. Frank Lloyd Wright is, looking good. And yeah, sure. Oh, okay. I didn't know if you wanted to say anything. So, yeah, and I think, projecting forward, we're going to look to continue to find savings with the schools that we work in. So I think Aaron and I talk about this all the time. I think we feel like we're in a good place, even though that one went past where we wanted it to go. There was no way to accomplish what we wanted to accomplish without doing so. It was important to find the way to cool that space and heat that space. It was very challenging. Our engineers and architect worked on that 4 months. We explored every possible option for cooling and heating those spaces. This is where we landed, and it was also the most affordable. And it still cost us more than we would have wanted. So, maybe the budget should have been a little bit more robust at that school. That's hindsight, right? But yeah, I think we'll continue to find ways in the aggregate to stay to the positive. And what check Aaron writes the count, or from what account? I don't know. That's
Yeah, and I think the thing that, as Bill and I have talked about, I think as we get into other schools, this is going to be the effort to try to get this number first. Because like at Irving, we talked about, we've met the obligation of what we said we would do, but also I think we did a couple more bathrooms and things like that because it came in, we had a plan, it didn't go as planned, and this is kind of the backup plan, right? So the other thing that we don't show is, I think it's in my financial reports, I think every other month, is the money we're making on the money. So we have a surplus of dollars of interest that's projected to be about $5-ish million, depending on the interest rate environment. So interest rates, thankfully, in this situation have remained high, which is going to allow the district to make money on the money. So where that shakes out, that's going to be used to supplement, schools like Franklin or a Wilson or a Walker, depending on if that, is to, be over again by hopefully not this amount next time. So just a few things to know. I don't think at this point I'm overly concerned in talking with Bill about it. I think we're just trying to get started earlier, as Bill already mentioned, to get those numbers ahead of time. So.
Okay. Yeah. And I certainly don't have any issues with it. I agree. Just when you were describing the individual classroom temperatures, the variance throughout a building that size, I've told people before, if you don't think these buildings need AC, go into Jefferson a sunny day in April and see how warm those classrooms are on the south side of the building.
right. Absolutely.
There's just not much you can do. So I appreciate the explanation. As long as we have a handle on where it's going to come from, that's all I want to make sure.
Yeah. Okay. Mr. Lee?
Yeah, and also making sure we get the same control in all the other elementary school buildings that we haven't done yet for AC. I think that's still a piece that we don't want. What I don't want is the first one to get the best, and then the rest of them get kind of what's left because we learned that it costs too much money. So I think I know the AC was a really big piece for a lot of our families and our staff. And so as we start going through these other elementary buildings, focusing on being able to have that same level of control, which I can imagine is going to be difficult in the building enforcement, to be able to do that across 3 floors in the building that. So I think that, but I just want to make sure that is a priority that we're focusing on, because I don't want to think, for a lot of people.
Mhm.
And I know that sweaty kids are harder to teach. And so I think that's something else that we want to ensure that we're doing to help with our educational outcomes as well, which I do think are effective.
Absolutely. No, you raise a great point, and we are very aware of that, providing the best system for each school. Our schools are all very different, right? And they're all challenging in their own way because none of them were built to provide cooling in them. And to adapt a 100-year-old building to the current technology and the current systems that need to be in place, very challenging. And we have great engineers and architects who are working on that. We've taken the first pass at those schools that we're going to work on next year. It's really going to look very different for each school. We can't just say, oh, you only get RTUs and that's it. It's not going to be that way. It's going to be, some of the 3-story schools are going to have, we might have split units, we might have RTUs, we might have window units. It just really depends on the school, and we're going to tackle them as they come. But good point. I mean, we intend that everyone's going to get the most robust system we can provide. Just, I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, but one challenge we find, and we spent probably at least an hour today talking about this challenge, is all of this equipment needs energy, right? And electrical energy. None of our electrical systems in our schools can handle what we need. They aren't robust enough. The systems are outdated, outmoded. That's just the reality. So in conjunction with, we add RTU. Well, it's not that simple. We're going to have to upgrade. We know already we're going to have to upgrade our electrical service to our buildings, along with the panels, et cetera, for sure at Walker, Mann, not Mitchell, but and Franklin. That we started that process today and talking through our electrical engineer. Who's been working very closely with We Energies. It's not cheap and not easy. So that takes, a portion of our budget right there is to get to just a baseline electrical, meeting the needs that we're going to have from an electrical perspective before we even talk about how we cool the classroom. So a lot of challenges, but we feel like we're working on it early enough. I mean, we're in August. We're talking about schools that we're going to work on next June, right? And so we think we'll get there, but it's a process, and we're going to keep working through it.
I would imagine that when we get these quotes, that knowing that we'd have to upgrade the electrical was something that we did at the time when we got those quotes. I presume that would be something that would be pretty basic knowledge for anybody doing a quote on a system like this, that hey, you're going to have to upgrade your electrical to build it correctly.
Sure.
So I'm getting the point of that should mean that the money for that should have been already in the quote. Because you're kind of, the way you're talking seems like it's outside of that.
I don't know. I wasn't here then. I couldn't speak to that. I wasn't here pre-referendum and how you guys, compiled your budgets. I can say we have a preliminary estimate to anywhere from $400,000 to $600,000 to upgrade those 3 schools per school for the electrical systems. That's what we got today. So I don't know if you budgeted that in your initial referendum work. I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, I think the challenging part with some of these projects is that, and you guys see this in the news, right? School districts going to referendum left and right. I'm sure you can name a few that are going this fall or some that have went last April. It is very seldom that you see a referendum built like we built ours because of the needs across the district to let every school community get something, things they desperately need. So for us to, and this is just the truth of reality, the difficult part is when you go to referendum to get 60 projects done, et cetera, across, it's not like it's all boilers and we're done. It's boilers, it's bathrooms, it's abatement. Bill could go on and on, I'm sure. To get like to the penny quotes, you'd have to spend millions on the off chance that it passes. If it fails, then you're out the millions. So you're trying to go, well, how close can we get to the number without breaking the bank that we might not get the money back for it? So like, for example, I know when we did the air conditioning at Irving, some of the assumptions were, hey, Irving's built very similar to Mitchell. Mitchell's uses the heating system that's insulated to carry the air from the air conditioning. So we can likely use that. And when that came out to not be the case, well, that changes the game. So it's difficult to answer that question completely. I know that the electrical was likely considered in the budget, but was it considered to the effect that the whole thing needed to be upgraded? Was it considered that the current system couldn't handle that? It's hard to know the exact details on that. I don't know, but
I'll say this though. I don't think I'm not sure if we'll be able to get the same exact system, but we're gonna strive to give something that's very comparable to what the experience that Irving is going to have. I think that's the best we can say at this particular point because we don't know what the numbers are going to tell us. But it's not going to be a situation where we're giving out the salvage car and then Irving got the limousine.
Right.
We're not going to do that.
And I think that's why that was part of the reason I think Bill and when him and I talked is putting this up here because to Mr. Becker's question, it's like, well, one school's over, but the plurality we're at worst even. And so the conversation we've been having is that, hey, the money at a school should stay at a school. Well, that's great. And that will happen if every other school gets what we promised. But if we can't make good on a promise, is it for sure the 693 is going to stay at Central? We've already met the obligation at Central. So at this point, we've kind of talked about we're going to hold that back until we know we can get the air conditioning at Man done to the satisfaction that we believe is required for that school to actually feel like it's air conditioned, for the teachers to feel, hey, they met good on this promise. We want people to leave going, hey, this is way better than what it was. It's great, right? And at the end, if there's money left, then we'll have those conversations with those schools because it should stay at the school then. It's just hard to guarantee that until we can make sure we can guarantee the thing we said we were going to do, I think. So
I'm not expecting to say that A, B, C function.
Yeah.
Not the same exact system for each other.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Our buildings are also different. They're all going to have different solutions, but we know the goal, we're out in these schools all summer long. We experience what that's like. So we definitely know what the goal is in mind for sure. But I appreciate what you're saying. Yeah.
Okay. Just a few more questions. FLW is almost done.
Mhm.
FLW is almost done except for the second floor flooring. When is that supposed to be done? I presume you can't do that when the school's in session.
No, we were waiting. It's likely a next summer project.
Oh,
Aaron was doing some non-referendum work in the classrooms. He was considering maybe we grow that scope a little bit, consider rather than just hallways that we work in the classrooms too. So if we end up with, some extra funds at FLW, can those best be utilized by not just doing some narrow paths, but growing into the classrooms that really need it? So we're kind of waiting to see how that shakes out. So that would probably be a phase 2 project.
Yeah, and I think the background there is if you can picture FLW's second floor, I would actually argue that the classroom carpet is in much worse condition than the hallways that lead to it. And so I was telling Bill, it would make much more sense if when we take everything out of the second floor, that the whole floor gets re-floored.
Okay.
And if that means part of the CIP budget is we have to work through that. I just thought better to wait to do that all at once if we could, because most of the work outside of bathrooms was done first floor at Wright this year.
Yes.
Okay. And then I guess likewise, is that the same thing with the scoreboards at Hale and the gym? Is that supposed to be done at a later time? Because I didn't see that in the update, and that was something that was discussed kind of from the beginning.
Yeah, so we when we went through the projects and Bill listed out the different items that we were looking at doing at all the schools, at this point it wasn't above the line of like the cafeteria weight room RTUs. It wasn't something that needed to happen. The weight room RTUs were, well past their useful life. So at this point, I kind of put those projects similar to it's just on hold until we see kind of how these elementaries shake out. And it likely would be something we revisit in 28. That's kind of what we've talked about internally. So
in 28.
Not something that's for sure done now, but we won't know what that budget looks like until likely next Christmas around that time.
Okay. All right. And then my last thing is about the pool at West Milwaukee. So my only concern is if the buildings aren't connected, getting students to the building and back. I don't know if this means you would only do, use of the pool during warm weather or what, but I can't imagine that students will want to walk back and forth in the middle of January between these buildings, even if it is just across a 20-foot thing. So that would be my only concern if they're not connected in a climate controlled manner to be able to get students not necessarily there, but back after they swim.
Yeah. I mean, if we want to talk about that for a couple minutes, I'd probably ask Nathan, our architect, to come up and sort of talk about the challenges and why we think a standalone building would be. Nathan, you got like 2 minutes? You could sort of give us your expertise. I think we've been thinking the same thoughts. Okay, kids transitioning, does that outweigh the real challenges on how we connect them? Go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Bill, and for the question too. As you mentioned, Bill, there's a handful of considerations thinking about utilities and other components. I think I don't know if it's an equal challenge, even a slightly bigger challenge is the existing levels, right? If you can picture the north side of West Milwaukee and how you head up to, right, and where the attendance office is, just the way that those existing floor levels would line up to proposed floor levels. We're not talking, we would be talking about stairs and ramps, like a vertical transition between those as well. I think one of the other challenges that we noted is being mindful of that this is intended to be a pool specific project, not pool plus secure entry plus office, right? I think there are logical expansions to this addition if there are additional funds available or additional critical goals that weren't met within the existing building, like they're already being met. And so if we were to attach to the building, like kind of slide what is shown as the pool separate structure down to attach to the existing building, if you can picture that again, that's approximately the top side of the gym. And then the main entrance and main office area, kind of that entry area where the attendance office is. So I think we as a design team had some serious concerns about how that circulation would work between the existing building and the pool. So why we proposed it as a standalone building. But I think as Bill mentioned as well, very early in our planning and discussions, we don't even have formal topography, right? Land survey, civil land survey of the north side of the building. Are we talking about 4 feet 6 inches or 5 feet 8 inches, right? Those inches likely will matter as we continue this conversation. So a lot more dialogue to continue there. But yeah, utilities, dumpster access, right? Loading and receiving access, that there isn't existing circulation there, that we'd be connecting to existing spaces, right? With the gym and office area. And the level change were all things that we were really mindful of as we were considering these early concepts for the pool.
Thank you. I understand this isn't easy or simple, and this is not the final thing. I just want to make sure that this is something that's being considered. I mean, the whole point, one of the big selling points of the referendum was putting pool back in West Milwaukee, right? And so my understanding for that is because so students could use it. And if you have it separated like this, I think that it will be used less by students because of the fact that it's not connected to the building. I'm not saying the only way is to connect it to the building, but then we should have some plan in place that would say, when students use it, this is how it's going to work. And this is how I rationally think that it will work. So I think that's the only thing I wanted to bring up here as far as that goes. I mean, it looks wonderful. I'm sure it'll be an amazing facility once it's done. But I just want to make sure that we're still fulfilling kind of the main thrux of us doing that work and having that money set aside for West Milwaukee was that pool use for the students. And so I just want to make sure that we're not losing that in this kind of larger vision that I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, I appreciate the comment.
Yeah, more to come. I mean, really, we've got a lot to explore there. So yeah, maybe there's a hybrid way we can get at that for sure. But
and then lastly, where the old pool is now, what's going to happen with that?
Good question.
So the space, how that could be used as something else for the benefit of that school community, I think would also be a good thing to flesh out while we're considering this pool piece as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, and more dialogue that as a design team we would want to have with district admin, building administration, if it's specific programs, if they are STEM related or extracurricular or core curriculum related. Again, we understand that there's a lot more need within all the buildings, but specifically within West Milwaukee, than even the current referendum fully covers. So look forward to those conversations as they're appropriate too. But yeah, no inkling or initial suggestions or recommendations that we have made as a design team about the existing pool space. I think more dialogue to happen there.
I think the top suggestion I've gotten so far is a giant ball pit. So by one of our friends here. So, no, but definitely we'll certainly be exploring that. Yeah.
All right. Okay. And thank you for all your work. I know I seem that I'm being critical, but I'm not. I'm just trying to make sure that we have the questions answered for our community.
Absolutely.
And be able to, provide a response when I say, I thought you said you're doing this or that. And then we all have this recording here that we can go back to.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem.
Are there any other questions? No? Okay. I think Mr. Verbos had a suggestion of skate park in that extra room. So just as a, yep.
There we go.
Something else in there. Okay, so I think that's all we have for you then. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. All right, that. So I guess at this time then, that takes us to the end of our agenda, given that we had our alteration. So if there is no further business and there is no objection, the meeting will be adjourned for tonight. Seeing no objection, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.